Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to the episode of Sean's Movie Crusades. My name's Sean Wasserkrug. I know it's been a little while since we've done a review, but frankly, there just really hasn't been anything to review, sadly. But this movie kind of stumbled across my my path here in the last couple days. It popped up on my Facebook feed. The trailer has for it. It's on Shudder for anyone who has Shudder, and it has 100% Rotten Tomato, and that movie is the horror film Host. Now, for anyone who hasn't heard of this movie is basically a movie that was shot during quarantine, and it's about 6 friends who hire a medium to hold a seance via a Zoom during lockdown, but they get far more than they bargained for as things quickly go wrong, aka like most horror movies. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty basic in terms of what it's doing. Like I said, everything just like certain movies like Searching with John Cho a couple years ago, Unfriended 1 or 2. Everything's done through webcam. Everything stays on the computer screen as through this Zoom call with these 6-7 individuals. But yeah, that's basically what the main thing is going on through this. Now, one thing that I will say that works in the benefit of this is that it definitely does not overstay its welcome. This movie is only 56 minutes long. It's less than an hour. So it gets in and out before it overstays its welcome, because with it being a film that's stuck on just a webcam, obviously stuff like that can get rather boring or dull pretty fast. So with this film, I think it takes about 15-20 minutes for stuff to really start happening, and then it's just really, really quick, and it hits you really fast. But one thing that, like I said, I really liked about the film is that it does a really good job of doing practical stuff to make the scares work. Now, one of my favorite horror films, and I know this is kind of either people love it or hate it, is Paranormal Activity. And I'm talking about the first one personally, where that movie was made for $10,000, and it did it did so much with very little. It was able to develop the scares and do really unique things to get the horror aspects in without having to spend a lot of money on special effects or anything like that. And I really appreciated Paranormal Activity for what it was able to do. And with Host, it kind of does the same thing. There's a lot of scares in this where I actually was sat there going, wow, that was actually really well done, or that I really appreciated how they pulled that off. And for people who really like or appreciate horror films that don't try to go super over the top with CGI or special effects to try to develop the scares, you'll really like Zoom, at least for the most part. I will say near the end of the film, where they actually try to show the entity that is messing with the cast, that part is a little kind of eye-rolling ridiculous. But up to that point where they're just doing like weird things happening, such as chairs being tossed or people being flung or stuff like that, I feel like I feel like Host does a really good job. Now, in terms of the cast, it's relatively a no-name cast. Most of these people you probably haven't seen before, to the point where even the characters are named their real names of the actors and actresses in the film. Yes, it does have the cliche that a lot of these films with the webcam stuff has, where they hear a bump or they hear a noise and they go, oh, let me grab my laptop and show what's going on, which is like, look, if you're in a real life situation where something creepy is happening, the last thing I'm going to do is grab my laptop so you guys can see what's going on. I'm getting the F out. And there's one particular point in the film where a person gets knocked down hard by the entity, and something creepy happens, and instead of just getting up and running like a normal human being should, they grab the laptop and then stop. And it's like, no one would ever do that. It's like you would be gone, you'd be out the door. But it's one of those things where it's like, if they don't do that, then you can't see what's happening, because obviously everything's done through webcam. So it's one of those things where it's kind of a catch-22. It's you're kind of handcuffed to the premise and the kind of the plot of everything being done through the webcam, but there are certain times where it's just really stupid that these people would keep grabbing their laptops to while they're being chased or stuff like that. So you kind of have to take it for what it is, because it is a gimmick, and if that's going to bug you, then Host might not be something for you. If you can let that aspect go, I think Host actually does a really solid job of being a very solid horror film for this day and age. Like I said, with all of us being kind of in a quarantine lockdown situation, they really found a way to develop a pretty solid horror film in under an hour with what they've had to do. And I think that they did a really solid job. So in terms of recommendation, if you guys have Shudder, I believe Shudder has a 1 week free trial. I definitely would recommend this if you liked films like Searching or Unfriended 1 or 2. If you like this aspect of this gimmick of everything webcam, then definitely Host is something worth checking out. If it's something that you can't get behind or it's something you haven't liked before, I'm not going to say I recommend it for you, but I do think that this, because it's under an hour, it's definitely something worth checking out if you have the ability to get Shudder. I think the performances, for the most part, of the 6 women and the 1 gentleman, or 7 women and 6 and I don't know, I can't remember. It's 6 to 7 people. I think everyone does a solid job performance-wise. There's maybe one character that's a little but I think they do a really good job of delivering the scares and acting afraid and selling what's happening around them and to them. Is there one plot point in the movie where I don't 100% agree with the outcome of 2 certain characters? Yes, there's one character that completely disappears. We don't see what happens to the end point of that character. And then there's another character that I'm not going to go into spoilers, that I just didn't agree with the outcome of what happened to that particular character. I get it. They want more stuff to happen in the film, but I feel like with this particular character, it wasn't needed or necessary based off of the events that had happened throughout. Now, if you guys want to know more, feel free to message me. I'll go into greater detail about that. But yeah, in terms of recommendations, if you guys want a solid horror film that's under an hour and something unique and different, but likes the practicality of not trying to go over the top with special effects or CG or anything like that, then Host is definitely something you should check out. Like I said, it's on Shudder. I think there's a 1 week trial. Other than that, I think it's like $4 or $5 a month. But I definitely recommend it. Go into my overall score. I'm going to give it a 7.9 out of 10. Like I said, it's very basic, but doesn't overstay its welcome, like I said, with it being under an hour. And I like the practical horrors, even if there is some eye rolling near the end and some eye rolling in terms of grabbing the laptop and doing things that a normal person probably wouldn't do in that situation. But other than that, I think it was a really solid horror film, and I think you guys would like it. So go ahead and check it out. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like button. If you guys feel like this review is worth sharing, go ahead and hit that share button. But most importantly, don't forget to hit the subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on the channel's Movie Crusades. And of course, don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Coming up next, I think it will be Power on Netflix. I think that comes out this Friday. New superhero film with Jamie Foxx and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So be on the lookout for that. And until next time, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.